You're welcome, Mrs. or Miss Sharma. Okay, so you can start, please, and introduce yourself. You can ask your questions on the line.
Okay, so good
Are you
evening.
logged in? Continue.
Yeah. So
Okay.
good evening, everyone. My name is Salma Debarma, and I'm from India. So here today, I'm gonna present my presentation related to the research paper and also. So here is the topic that I'll be covering up today. So let's get started. First is what is an introduction? So what do you mean? What we mean by introduction is that uh, it is the first paragraph of our writing or our research paper, and it is important part of our research paper because this sets the stage for the rest of our paper, like how to grab, like by grabbing the readers or listeners attention, and also it provides the necessary background information and also the main idea of our thesis statement. So next, let's know the key components of introduction. That is, first is that we need to have a captivating opening sentence, like in a paragraph, like to have our attention, to grab the attention of our readers, like to keep them hooked in their readings, and also by mentioning the interesting facts, and also by provoking questions, thought provoking question basically. So and also we have to be with our anecdote and also have our strong statement so that we can give or argue, like we need to argue on that statement for the rest of our paper, and also by stating information and giving a relevant context and details of our research. And lastly is our thesis statement, that is the main argument or points of our writing the research paper. And so why do we need a powerful, strong introduction? Is because we need to keep our audience engaged to our paper, like by capturing their attention and also by creating the interesting um, interesting thoughts. Like we need to have them more focused in that field or topic, and also by establishing credibility with demonstrating knowledge and also authority, and also how to, and also we do have to guide the readers or listener, and so that we can provide a clear direction for the following content that we are going to write about or discuss about in our paper. And also we need to set the tone so that we can influence the overall mood and style of the piece that we are gonna write about. So here we gotta know about the body, that is the main section, by the way, where you have to argue your statement, each and every findings as well. So what is the body? So the body of an essay or research paper or thesis is the main section where you develop and also support your arguments or ideas. So it's like the meat of your work, like the hamburger, you can say that, like how you put your stuffing, the middle portion of the hamburger, like, yeah, how do you manage the stuffing there? Like, so that is what we can say that, and also by providing the evidence. And here we do analysis and explanation to convince our reader of what we are writing again. So next is, so what is the key points of the body? First is how we organize our body, like how we typically divide like the writings of our body, that is the paragraph section, like each and which will focus on a specific point, like related to our ideas or main ideas, and also the evidence, like you support your claims with evidence from credible sources, such as academic researches or expert opinions or statistical data. And next is analysis, like how you interpret the evidence that you have found, and also explaining its significance and how it relates to your thesis or your research paper, and like research statement, I must say. And next is this structure, like how the body follows a logical flow, like with each and every paragraph or section, like you're building on the previous one, you have to follow up with the previous given paragraph. And next is by clarity and conciseness, just to make it short and not to be like too complex about what you are writing about. And here you, and just to give your ideas, present ideas clearly and concisely by avoiding unnecessary jargon or overly complex language. So here are some tips for writing an effective body. First is by developing a strong thesis statement. So your thesis should be clear, concise, and arguable. It's not like something you just put something else and it's not that much of an important. So something much important to be clearly discussed about and have to be more engaging to you to discuss on that. And second is by creating a detailed outline, because this will help you how to organize your thoughts and also will ensure your logical flow. And third is by using a strong topic sentence. So each and every paragraph should begin with a topic sentence that clearly states its main point. So we need to focus on that as well. And fourth is by providing relevant evidence. So support your claims with credible sources and cite them properly. Not just that you get it something and you don't have any credible sources of that, so which is not really good to be that way. So you have to be more relevant with your evidences to make it, or so that you just can be using it for your writing. And also by analyze your evidence. So here you will explain how this evidence supports your argument and why it's important. So here, this is really important to keep in mind, like, yeah. And also use clear and concise language, just avoid jargons and also overly complex sentences. Also transition smoothly between paragraphs, like use transition words and phrases to connect your ideas, not just trying to be using any kind of a word that doesn't make sense with your paragraph or your writing. So just keep that in mind, and also proofread carefully. So yeah, proofread it carefully, check for errors in grammar and punctuation and spelling, which will really help you a lot. And here we have a conclusion part. So what is a conclusion? So when it comes to conclusion, it's like a final part of our piece of writing or speech. So we, in this part, we summarize the main points and leaves our lasting impression to our readers. So for that, you should keep in mind is that it should be clear, concise, and relevant to the topic. So don't just go around and mess it up. Like, don't just bring anything, and try to keep it within your relevant topic, not just, yeah. So, so what are the key elements of a strong conclusion? So for that, first is by reiterating the thesis statement, so that you are restating your main argument in a fresh way, and also summarizing the main points, like briefly reviewing the key arguments and evidences that you have already written on, and you are offering final thoughts on that by providing a closing statement that leaves a lasting impression to your readers. And also, don't forget that try to avoid introducing new information, and stick to the main points of your essay or speech. So here we have a new topic as well. So what is an abstract? So an abstract is a concise summary of a longer work, such as for research paper, article, or thesis, etc. It typically has a 150 to 200 words limit, and also it provides a quick overview of the main points that you are gonna write about, like your topic. So what is the purpose of an abstract? So that we need an abstract so that we can have our readers to quickly understand on the topic, and also about your key findings, and it allows reader to decide if the full text is relevant to their interest. It, like, this is the main thing that you need to focus on while writing your paper, like this is the main thing, so that the reader can decide on whether this is going to be the interesting topic or not. So you have to keep that in mind. And also adds in indexing and searching for research, like what is the purpose of your writing of this topic to discuss on, and what are the key components of an abstract. So First is the introduction. So in introduction, you just clearly states the research question or problem, and also by providing necessary background information of your findings and the method that you have or is using in your research research field. That is, you are briefly describing the research methodology, like for example, experiment, survey, literature review. And lastly, you are highlighting key data collection and also analyzing the techniques that you have used in your research. Not lastly, by the way, and in results section, you are summarizing the main findings or outcomes of the research to present key data by presenting key data or statistic if applicable. And lastly, the conclusions. In conclusion, you just state the main conclusion, like draw the main points from the research, and also you may include implication or recommendation that you have faced in your research findings. So next we have the discussions and findings. So what do you mean by discussion and findings in our research is that it is a crucial part of any research paper. So where the author interprets the results of their study and also by comparing them to existing knowledge and draw conclusions. Here is the key points to remember while writing the discussion section. That is, by focusing on the most important findings. Uh, so by highlighting the key results that address your research questions, and by avoiding the repetitiveness to do so, and do not simply restate the result. Instead, focus on interpreting and explaining the significance of your finding. And also use clear and concise language. Yeah, avoid jargon and technical terms. Write in a clear and concise manner. Support your claims with evidence and cite relevant literature to support your interpretation. Refer back to your data and analysis. So what is the relationship between findings and discussion? So let us know about that. In findings, we present our results as like objectively rather than describing it without like objectively without any interpretation. And whereas in the discussion section, we just interpret the meaning of our findings and also explain why findings are important, why that finding is important, and also we are relating our findings to the broader context of our research field. So just to remember that the discussion section is where you bring your research into a life by explaining the significance and of your findings and how they contribute to the existing knowledge. And lastly, we have a conclusion and recommendation. So as we said before, that conclusion is a summary of your findings and also briefly mentioning all the main points of your research question or problem, and also summarizing the main important findings, results. And here you are highlighting any significant patterns, trends, or relationship that you have discovered in your finding. And in recommendation, it's like an actionable steps. which is based on conclusion, purpose, specific recommendation for addressing the research problem or questions. So here we consider the feasibility and potential impact of each recommendation and use a clear and concise language to convey your suggestions. So here you are also building on some suggestion further research that expand on the study's results, and also you are addressing the limitation or purpose future research that address the limitation of the study. And here you are also suggesting a new research questions that arise from the study's finding. And here's the conclusion. So in conclusion, we are understanding the fundamental components of a research paper is crucial because for both researchers and readers. The introduction sets the stage, the body provides the evidence, the conclusion summarizes and interprets the finding, whereas the abstract offers a concise overview of your findings. So by effectively utilizing these elements, researchers can communicate their ideas clearly and persuasively, while readers can gain a comprehensive understanding of the research. So here's my references, and thank you. Any question?
Afternoon. What is the importance of not including new information in your conclusion?
New information.
What is the importance of not including new information in your conclusion?
Because why would you include something new in your conclusion?
You finished?
Yeah.
Did you ask question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Oh, we can hold the question. Can you go back on your content? Go back on the beginning. Okay, in the first instance, your presentation is centering on what is an introduction, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what did you say about introduction? Can we see? So, from your presentation, introduction is the opening section of a piece of writing or a speech. Introduction sets the stage for the main body. Introduction grabs the reader's or listener's attention. Introduction provides necessary background information. Introduction states the main idea or thesis statement. Is that all?
Yeah.
So, does it mean that if fulfill all these your points, it is no longer an introduction?
Not really, because these are the main things that we are covering off in an introduction. By the way, I mean the writing of an introduction has to be this way, like the mentioned way, the following way, and without. So, what you meant by if they don't have any kind of, but let's just say we just can't just. It's all the needs that we need. So you just can't skip any of these points. So we all need this point to we just need to mention all these points in our introduction. So must say no. Yeah, this is the only.
Okay, in other words, without all these, the introduction is not an introduction.
Yeah, but the writing might differ as well. Like, what are you writing about? Let's say we are talking about the research paper here. So, as a research paper writer, as a researcher, you must keep these points in mind to include in your introduction. And if we say about an academic, like the lower level of writing, like an essay in our school, like the class essay, it might have a different kind of introduction. Like, you don't need to be vast or complex about your introduction. So mentioning the only main points that you want to include in your writing, so it can be a different kind of writing.
Okay. Okay, so what do you have to answer?
One,
Oh, yeah.
wa-
Interesting.
one of the points that she mentioned was on conclusion
Yeah.
and the importance of like rehashing, going over the work again in your conclusion. So I asked her, why is it important to not include any new information in your conclusion?
New information as such, like including the other topic.
Yeah, because your conclusion, it's the end, so you already going over your topic. So why is it important not to mention anything new?
New what?
Like what? Like new information.
Okay, new information.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just wanna let your reader know about the points that you have already written. So you just have to restate that. Nothing like out of the topic. So yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Dan, do you have any question for this introduction?
Yes, interesting presentations. Thank you, Shema. So I have one questions about the background informations. So just to your presentations, we need to put the background informations in the introduction part. So how many portions should we write about the background information? That is the first question. The second question is that most people know the background information. So how can we attract the reader with the background informations in the introduction part?
Come again.
Okay. So the first question is, how many portions do we need to write the background informations in the introduction part?
How many?
How many portions or how many
Portions.
paragraphs or the first question. The second question is, so we need to attract the reader in the introduction part. So like normally background information is that people already know. So how can we attract the readers with the background information in the introduction part?
How would they know that about if you don't mention it beforehand? Like, you are making a clear understanding. You are writing a background section just because you want to let your readers know about more background thing. Like, how would they know about it without reading it? Because most of the readers won't have any knowledge without reading about it. So it's your kind of thing to mention about the reader's background. So yeah, so it's your priority, or it's your it's your so also let's go to the first question. Okay, about the question.
How many paragraphs?
Okay.
How many portions?
Yeah, about the background information. So how many portions? You just have to point out the important portions. Like, it's just not that necessarily meant by writing the whole section. Like, let's say only for the one paragraph, I must say, that you need to put on in your introduction. Is it okay?
Yes. Thank you.
And not really so.
Okay, so thank you very much. So all we are trying to say that, first of all, in any academic writing, introduction is just that part of the writing that tries to hook,
Yeah.
tries to impress the reader, the listener, or whoever that takes up your written words or even spoken words. So introductory part is very, very essential and very, very important. That is what I am getting. So thank you for that, and that is wonderful. What's the next step? So in other words, in any academic writing, it is trying to tell us that the first caption will be how you presented your paper, your first stage. So Mr. Nwachukwu Chika, please, you can come into the class because you have to ask your own question. And Celestine, please come into the class and then ask your own question. We're waiting for you. So after introductory part, which must convince the reader. Sometimes some people, their introduction might be wonderful, but the body is nothing to write home about. And sometimes some people, their introduction is not all that good, but the body of their letter is wonderful. But most important is an academic writing. It's very important that you try to capture your reader. You try to make sure that whoever reads your introductory part must have gotten the gist. Okay, thank you. Part of your presentation for today, the power of, you say power of introduction. Can we look at that? The power of a strong introduction. Say, because he engages the audience. That is very good. He engages the audience, captures attention and creates interest, establishes credibility. Yeah, it demonstrates knowledge and authority. Correct. Guides the reader or listener. The power of introduction is that it provides a clear direction for your content, sets the tone, influences the overall mood and style of the piece. So this is very nice way to put it. So introductory part is actually extraordinarily very, very important because it captures, it hooks. Okay, can we get to the next slide? What is the body? This is where you now make your points with supports. You have earphone, right? Yeah. Okay, so in case if it crashes. Okay, so what are you saying about the body? Can you, why do you say this? Can you explain further?
Because this is the main section of our writing where we analyzes our findings and also where we put our arguments or ideas of our topic.
I think Chika asked a question we didn't say earlier. He said, what are the contents of introductions in a research paper? I think, has it been answered? The contents of introduction in a research paper. What are the contents?
Content.
This is a question from Chika. What are the contents of introduction in a research paper?
Contents actually. Oh my. Actually, I haven't thought about it. It's a unique question, by the way.
The contents of introduction in a research paper.
Introduction is
Yes, introduction. What does it contain?
like the background. Like I have already said, the background of your research topic.
The background, number one.
Yeah. And second is the someone please could have, if you guys could have.
Yeah, can help.
Yeah.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
check
it's
out.
a-
Okay.
Okay. You just we are talking about introduction, right? Introduction is just kind of the background of the whole thing, and another content of introduction. I think I didn't see a such question or
Research objective.
a such objective, right? Despite the fact it's something that is on its own, but it's part of introduction. So you should try to include it because of next time. Because let's assume you are talking to someone that doesn't know anything. Because the purpose of this PowerPoint is to teach somebody that is just a novice, that is just starting afresh. So you need to give the person a kind of a little guideline on how to follow it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that is wonderful. Because you may have answered it, but you simplified it. But then he asked this very important question because this is a master's degree program. So, and thank God he also clarified it. So these are the things, as he said, and more. But then it still goes back to what you have already put across, but you didn't go deep into it.
Just
Yeah.
through the above.
So that's a very nice question. Do we have any other question here? Okay. Now, a question from the ground. Who has another question?
So, in your part of your introduction, can you explain to us more, like when you raise your problem statement? Can you tell us more about what your problem statement would be in your introduction, or what is the purpose of a problem statement?
So we can define the problem statement.
So I in your introduction, my question was, when you raise your problem statement, what is the purpose of raising a problem statement in your introduction?
Okay, the introduction. What is the
Purpose of
purpose of raising the problem statement inside the introduction? Are you still on?
Yes.
Okay.
So the purpose of problem statement
In
is,
an introduction.
yeah, is to specify the problem or research questions that we are addressing in our paper, and also to explain why this issue is significant, and also it has and why these theoretical gaps and in the literature that your paper will address, and also to justify the problem of the research, to make the clear understanding of your study. Is it?
Can anybody add anything? Why is problem statement important in introductory part? Anybody, any idea? Sheikh, do you want to help us? Okay.
Problem statement, which is also research question, is important in the beginning because it helps you, it directs you, gives you a pathway on how you can deal critically with your topic. That is just the simplest way. All right.
Do you agree with that? Okay.
She mentioned it more basically.
Pardon?
I think she did answer somewhat comprehensively. So to flesh out the problem, to delve greater into the problem, to specify the significance of the problem to the reader, as well as also to what's the last one? My mind threw a blank now on the last one, but she did generally go over it. But I do agree with you.
Okay, so we are still talking. We are still in the introductory part because some students are asking questions. This class is basically is an independent study class, basically on research methodology. So we would like to, someone asked the question, what is the difference between the background of research and research objectives? What is the difference? I don't know, the person name here, it says Diary of a Broken Man. I don't know.
Is it?
Oh, it's here. I thought it's from somewhere. Okay. Okay, yeah, it says Stelson. He asked, what's the difference between the background of research and research objectives?
Background of research.
Background of the research, which is a part of what you said in the introductory, and then research objectives.
So the background of research is like you are introducing, like let's say the topic of, like my topic would be this. So I will focus on the background on that topic. Like what has been his history, the history of the topic, and the better understanding of all the background, like what has happened, like all those things. So typically for the historical perspective as well, you can look it that way. So it's like that. And objective is like you are finding your purpose on that topic, like what is the is to make you understand the main goal of your study, like by typically aligning the problem that you wanna address to your study or findings. And also it can be a roadmap for the readers to not readers, but for you to accomplish.
Okay, is that okay? Okay, in addition to that, I think the question is said about what is the difference between the background of research and research objectives. I think two of them are inside the introduction. Understand?
Yeah.
They are all inside the introduction, trying to, depending on the structure of your paper. Then, for example, they say chapter one. Chapter one should be able to, chapter one is introductory part, which will be able to say exactly what is going to happen in your paper. And in that chapter one, you have to give the background of the research, what motivated you in writing, why you are writing, what you are writing, what actually is the area or areas that you want to focus on, and then the objective, and the things you are concentrating on in that particular paper. So the most important is that both research, background of research and research objectives are all introductory parts, depending on the type of paper. Because if it's just a simple essay, you may not see it there, but sometimes you might also see that depending on the way the person just put it. Okay, we move on. So body of the essay, what did you say about it? What are you saying about it?
So it's the section where you argue, where you put your arguments or ideas, and also you analyze your findings by providing evidences, and also, yeah.
The body of an essay, research paper, or thesis is the main section where you develop and support your arguments or ideas. Is the meat of your work, providing evidence, analysis, explanations to convince your reader of your thesis statement. This is wonderful. This is powerful. Can somebody emphasize on it more? After introducing your work, the next thing is you now channel your points in the body. For example, I remember I said, for example, you're talking about a good teacher. In the introductory part, you have to mention let's say you mentioned 3 qualities. That means in the body, you'll be able to, each paragraph, or depending on how you structure your essay, you'll be able to tell us about these three qualities in different paragraphs. So that is the body. So I don't know if someone else will have something to add about the introductory part, please. Not introductory part, the body. What is this saying? And then what do you have to say and what is saying?
I don't have a question.
I don't think you are staying on in this system. Do you have anything to say about the body? Celeste, do you have anything to add about the body?
I think it depends on the kind of essay you are writing. In a research work, for instance, you may not really have the kind of settings of writing a body as a body. I mean, where you just go on and explain. In a research work, for instance, you are going to show your literature, and then from there you're going to show them where you got your research, how you made the research, and that is for research paper. But when you are writing a common or normal essay, that is where you introduce, and then in the body, you show exactly what you mean. You elaborate what you mean in the body. That is where you write everything. Everything you mentioned in the introduction, you write them now in the body in full explanation. Same with the conclusion. You highlight what you have written in the conclusion. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. We have another one of us that asks question, and that is, I guess it's Henry. He asks you, what is the difference between abstract and summary?
Abstract and summary.
What is the difference between abstract and summary? Abstract. What is the difference between abstract and summary? We said it several times in the,
Yeah.
okay, not in this, not with your group. An abstract and a summary. Tell us the difference.
So in abstract, it's like more, you are giving a brief summary again about your writing. Like you will put a brief introduction, a brief, like what method have you used in your writing, and also you may put some of the literature review as well. So, but whereas in summary, it's like you are summarizing all the writing, all the things that you have already mentioned, like you are putting it all together. Nothing like so specific about that. But in abstract, you have a different content to write in abstract. But summary is all about like mentioning all the main points that you, in a brief details that you are gonna write about, that you have already learned or have write about.
Is that clear enough?
Is it? Am I making sense?
Is that well explained? The difference between an abstract and summary. Can somebody add one or two things? The difference between an abstract and summary. Who has any idea? We're going to check again. Or Emmanuel will be, are you busy? So even though this is not your, we're about to start your own, but do you know the difference between abstract and a summary? This is a very important and nice question. Can someone assist us? The difference between abstract and a summary, in addition to what she explained. Very, very important. I think I've said, I've made this different. I've explained the difference in one of my videos. Can someone, please, to add to what she explained in a clear way?
And the abstract provides us like a clearer overview, and it contains our methodology, our results, and some of our conclusions. when we juxtapose this to a summary is normally part of our conclusion. It normally wraps up our ideas and our findings. It tends to recap the main points of each of our theories or ideas that we espoused in our paper. I think those are the difference. That's the difference.
Okay.
I don't know if
Any other? Emmanuel, do you have? Emmanuel, okay.
Okay, I think
Do you have anything to add? Oh, wow. Or is it that you know it, or is that you want to starve us of your knowledge?
No, no starve of the knowledge.
Okay, don't want to add. Okay, so I think it's self-explanatory, like some of you have added, and then including the presenter. An abstract is just we'll call it is a different kind of a summary, but mostly an abstract must have provided what actually spurred you or motivated you and why you're writing, and the objectives. Sometimes abstract will also contain objective, very short kind of summary, but then it contains findings. Sometimes it contains your recommendation. But the summary, it depends on who asked the question and where the question was asked, and then how it was answered. It depends on the structure of the paper anyway, but summary is normally may not contain certain things an abstract may contain. And sometimes it may contain that depending on the nature of the writing. So, but the fact remains is that the differences are very, very clear in the sense that an abstract gives you the overview of the entire work, what motivated you, and then what spurred you, and then your objective, and then your methodology you used in the writing, and then what you found in that write-up. And then sometimes it might also include a recommendation. But the summary is just a simple way of saying, putting a cursory look at a paper. But it may not necessarily contain important things in an abstract. So, as I said, it's a very, very sensitive kind of difference, because if you're not careful of your word, you might make the mistake. Yeah, but then we have to understand it by defining each other what it is. So abstract is a different kind of summary. Okay. Yeah, so as we move on, someone asked a question, and that is James. He said, why is the body crucial in a research paper? Why is the body of the paper crucial? That is, why is it important? Who is James? Is he here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So Damian asked, why is a research paper, a body of a paper, important in a research paper?
Because it's the place, it's the section that you give your ideas and your own understanding and like interpreting the whole sections of your writing. So it is crucial.
I think I do agree with that. Can I just add on to that? I think that is where you defend your point. It's where you raise your point, your topic of contention, and it's where you're given your opportunity to defend your point.
Okay. What did you?
I just basically reiterated what she said. What she also basically said was it's just where you can defend your point. This is where you can raise your point, and it's where you can also defend your point, basically. I think that's the most important part of the body. This is where you get to actually espouse your ideology, if you will. This is where you get to put it forward to the world with the level of detail that you perceive.
Wow. Do you get that, everybody? Are you there? The body, just as she put up there, So the body of an essay or research paper or thesis is the main section where you develop, support your argument or ideas. It is the meat of your work, providing evidence, analysis, and explanations to convince your reader of your thesis statement.
It's also in a presentation. It's interesting that she would say it's the meat of your work, because it reminds us of last semester, last year. In this class as well, we did in English for graduate studies. Dr. Emmanuel taught us the formula to comprehensive writing and to essay writing as well. And one thing that we used was the hamburger analogy, where the introduction was our top bun, and then we got to the body, which was our meat and our letters and all of those things adjusted in certain paragraphs. And the ending, the conclusion was our bun again. So it's very interesting that she would mention that.
So that's to say also that just as you presenter stated, the introductory part will capture the reader. In other words, you are expected as a writer to make sure that your introduction is put in such a way that it's just like a hook, as it is called, to draw the attention of the reader. Then inside the body, you are there to simply argue, to defend all that you have just said. But don't forget that it depends on the type and structure of your paper. If it is a master's degree paper, they say chapter 1 is introductory part. Chapter 2 is literature review. So in that literature review should be seen as part of the body, because it's just like a chapter in which you are trying to state how you got the materials, the books, the journals, the theories of your paper. Then chapter 3 could be answering the objectives or questions you ask. Chapter 4 could also be answering the objectives and questions you ask. While chapter 5 might be discussions or findings. Everything depends on the structure of your paper. But in all, introductory part is always different, because that is where you tell people what they're going to see and how you're going to handle your paper. The rest could be considered as the body. Am I clear? All of you, you are going to meet it very soon. And some of you are already meeting it. Emmanuel, have you submitted your what do you call it, a proposal? You don't need to wait until it becomes a problem before you do. Nan, you have submitted, right? Chika, you have submitted. Celeste, you have submitted. Damian, have you submitted? You don't need to wait. You guys wait until things are until the last moment. It's not the best. Because if you start after first year, second year, you start submitting your proposal, it will enable you to start collecting that data, collecting materials, information from the class you attend. As a matter of fact, if each class might be one chapter, another class might be another chapter. That is the easiest way to handle this thing. For some students, you normally wait until the end. When you wait until the end, you find out that you are now taking it as if it's an extraordinary thing. But all those 10 papers you are submitting should actually be part of your it should be your, what do you call it, independent studies. Okay. So as we move on, the next question someone asks is the difference between reference and citation. Difference between reference and citation. I think Celeste may explain it. Do you have anything to say about that before Celeste can?
Please go.
Okay.
ahead.
So the difference between reference and citation.
First of all, we've been talking about plagiarism. So whenever you talk about what some other person has written, you acknowledge where you got it from, even the page number, where you got it from, so that you make what you are writing valid. If you don't do that, they may flag you off for plagiarism. And when you say where you got it from, people have to see it either as part of what you have written. Say, I quoted Chinua Achebe, 2019, page 10. maybe either as part of the work or as a footnote. Then at the end of everything I have written, I will show people all the works I used to write used for my writing. That is what we call reference. So people can open the back of what you've written and there find all the books, all the articles, all the journals, all everything you use, even newspaper publications that you used at the end of your work. But within the work, you have to cite where you got whatever you, so that it doesn't mean you're just copying without citation. So citation is just part of what you are writing. Thank you.
Okay, so another person, any idea of the difference between citation and reference? Citation and reference, Emmanuel. Can you tell us the difference between the two?
Okay, in my own opinion, or in my own understanding, I think citation is, like you said, a short form of saying where you got or you quote a quotation or something of your research paper. So on that reference, you will get to know the name of the journal, the website where you copied it from, and the name of the person or the book you copied or you make references from. Thank you.
Okay.
Chika.
In addition, I normally, for me, I love to speak very plainly and to someone that doesn't know anything, right? Simply, citation is what you use inside the paper, right, while writing. While reference is what you use at the end, referencing, writing all the books that you use to arrange your paper. While citation is inside the research work while you are writing. When you quote someone, you cite it there. So the difference is that citation is right inside while you are writing the paper, and reference is at the end of your research paper. Thank you.
Okay, another person to add anything about the difference between reference and citation.
In addition to what everyone has said, citation is briefly mentioned during writing, and you adopt the name of the author and the year. For example, Smith 2020 or Obi Emmanuel 2020, depending. Why reference is being written at the end of the research work, and the reference should carry the whole full details of the author you want to give the credit. For example, in citation, you say Smith 2020. That is briefly mentioned. Why in reference you say like Smith 2020 page? You say the name of the name of the author, the publication, the name of the book written, the year it is written, the page number of it, even in addition with the website. So the difference is the citation, author's name and the year, reference have the full details of the author's publication and everything. And it is written, citation is written while writing the proposal, and it contains in the body of the research work, why the reference is written at the end of the research work. Thank you.
You guys are turning to be a scholar in this school. I'm sure that no other university will beat you guys. If you guys come up in a debate. Gradually, we are making it in Siam University. Okay, so have you seen the presenter? Do you want to add anything? The difference between reference and citation. I guess this question was asked by Salih Momo. Salih Momo is a student in International Master of Business Administration, IMBA. So he's somewhere, and then he asked the question. So do you have to add anything, or is it done?
Yeah, it is.
It
But
is well answered.
Yeah, it is. But for me, I'd say the citation is like you are giving a credit to original author. So, and just to show that you have get this information, like where you get that information from, and also, yeah, that is for the citation. And for the reference, it's like you just want to make the readers know to give them easier, to make them like reference is like you're making your readers more easier to get access to the resources. So yeah.
Okay, so just like all of you have said, reference, even though it is being updated nowadays, in the past, reference and citation are all going together, but no longer as it is now. Reference, as you guys said, after writing, you'll be able to see it at the back of the paper. They call it a bibliography, but now they have changed it to most journal, they prefer to use the word reference. That's the way they normally update it all the time. So, but the reference, in my own view, they are where you put all the books, all the journals, all the things you quoted in your paper, all the things you cited in your paper. Reference is where you put it in complete, like all of you said, especially as Emmanuel Obi put it. In the reference, you see the entire book, the year, the time, the date, if it's a journal, which particular journal, which section of the journal, because journal might be 3 times in a year, which quarter, and stuff like that. So imagine that inside your book, Celestine Ekwozo, we have 2 Celestine Ekwozo's books. Then it's in the reference that you'll be able to know which particular one. Is it the one he wrote in 1999 or the one he wrote in 2003? Reference will expose all those. Reference just a detailed page for all the books, all the journals, all the citations. Then why citation itself is inside when you are writing, inside it, the way you are arguing and then you are trying to quote. You can only, what you can see there, sometimes if you have used direct quotation, then you can only see page number, the year, the name, the surname of the author. Just for example, Okafor, comma, 2008, comma, and then the page where you got the book. I mean, where you got the quotation. Even if you paraphrased, you'll still put something like that, but you cannot put all the information about Okafor's middle name, Okafor's first name. You cannot put, they are all different. There is just only in the reference that you put it. But can you tell me why there is a difference? Why you cannot put all this in your body of the work? Why separating it and making it reference different from citation? Can somebody help us? Why? And why can't you put everything in the book inside the?
You can't put everything.
You're ready for me.
You can't put everything in the book because there is when you're writing, there is a pattern and a method of writing of academics writing. So you have to follow that pattern. Like
So what is the pattern? Why
APA.
can't we put, for example, in the body, they put everything that is required? Why can't we?
That's what I'm saying. They have a pattern of writing of writing academic writing.
Mhm.
So you have to follow that same procedure of writing.
Is that because of the pattern or because of the reason why Why the references are separated from citation? Why there is a different page for reference?
From my own understanding, that's how
Okay, yeah.
using APA style 7.0 or 6.0. That's my own understanding. You have to
Okay,
go-
yeah, your understanding is very correct, but I want someone else to give us a deeper explanation as why in an academic paper reference page is different from the citation itself. Can someone please, in an academic writing? Look at your smile as if you want to save us. No, you're always an academic. That's why we're always depending on you. The question is, why in the first instance we have to separate reference page from citation? Can some explanations have been given and they are also correct, but I need more. Sheikh, I want to save us now. Everybody pay attention because this is part of your is the area that you cannot avoid.
All right. In my own opinion, I I feel that the reason why it's been separated is because there are some things that will be in your paper, but you might not be able to cite the person, but you got it from a book, right? So it can be in your reference. It can be in your reference, all right? Because if you are putting your reference inside the book, one, your book will be too voluminous, to be too much. And aside that, there are some books that you will use, and probably you use the person's idea, but he did not use it correctly, but use the person's idea. So you would like to put the book you got that idea from at the reference. So I think that is the reason.
Both the one and said is correct. What you say is also correct. So the difference, you guys have mentioned it. Citation is a very short way of making your academic paper credible, like the presenter said. Yeah, but then putting all the information in terms of reference and citation in the body of the work will make it look boring. And they call it redundance, right? It wouldn't be a very nice paper that in each, imagine if you have put about 20 books and then all the references are inside the citation. I mean, that's why I said initially that was how it was, but it was updated. So that, I guess, in my view, is the reason why there is a difference between reference and reference page. Carry all the information to the reference page, but cite by mentioning the surname, the year, and the page only inside the paper, inside the body of the paper. Is there still any confusion here? Okay.
I don't know if I've said this. In my own understanding, I think it's to make it easier for the reader to be able to track the source of your work. That's why citation is being written while writing, because there are people that if they are reading your work and you are quoting someone without citing it, I mean, putting the name of the author and the year, they will say this is a stolen research work. But once the citation is there and you made a citation, you cited someone, they will like to track that very information to be able to know that this is the right information you are giving them. Yeah. Not if you write this, you put wrong information there. No, there are people that have the capacity of tracking every information they meet across while reading. and for the easier for them, not to go back to the reference work and begin to search for it. Thank you.
Okay, I think you got it correct too. Okay, any other question, any other clarification? Okay, so Smith.
Okay. Citation is a short quotation. Instance, example, if you are quoting from Dr. Eman, he wrote a book, maybe 2019, then you quoting from him, you need to put his name and the year. Okay, it's just a short essay. Then reference or reference is based on your entire work you have done. The people work you use to copy and maybe translate. You have to put all their names to make sure the reader understands where you got all your information. So that's the difference between citation and quotation and reference. So that's my point of view.
Okay, so that is
CP.
Actually, do you have anything to add to it? The difference between citation and reference was asked by Salil, and that is what we are answering. Salil is a student of the business administration, masters as the business administration. So do you have anything to say to add more about the difference between citation and reference? Many people have said something about it.
For now, I don't have anything to say, but I will still say something before class ends. I will still contribute.
Okay, don't have anything to say, but before the class ends, you. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, so what is the conclusion? Conclusion is the final part of the piece of writing or speech. It summarizes the main ideas and leaves a lasting impression. It should be clear, concise, and relevant to the topic. I hope you guys are still understanding that whether any subject you are doing in this program, any term paper given to you, the standard is standard. Introduce your answer, then explain your answer. If there are 3 points, you'll be able to explain them in 3 different paragraphs. You guys, you know that, right? Okay. So, at this juncture, we would like to summarize what is what we each person. Okay, we have another person clamoring for a question. Emmanuel Ngozi said, when writing on what point should you know when to stop? When writing, when do you know when to stop? Who? He doesn't know that.
When you are confused, you stop now.
When do you know when to stop? When writing?
Once you've went over all your relevant points and you have no new information to add, like nothing relevant that you would add would fit within the context of what you're speaking, then you've reached the wall. You can't write any further.
Is that the answer? When do you know when to stop? This is a very technical question that looks very simple. But until when you start your independent studies, you know how tactful this question is. When do you stop? Sure.
I think before you start operating a research work, you have what you have in mind.
You have what you have in mind.
Yeah, your main point. So you have your main point, you have the objective. So once you meet up with the objective, those main points you have in mind in writing the research work. Once you have putting everything in place, you can stop writing your work first, because you can't write out of the point you want to write in. Secondly, once you meet up with the logical argument, because while writing a research work, we are trying to convince the audience, the mind of the readers, that what you are writing on this is true and not a lie. So once you meet up with the requirements, those things you want to write, the logical argument in it, the structures, and the technicalities you need to put in place while writing your research work, both your findings and everything. Once you meet up with the requirements, you can stop your writing. Thank you.
Emmanuel will be professor. In fact, if you don't become a doctor, all this effort will be a waste. So make sure that we hear Dr. Emmanuel Obi in near future, because that is your call. Yes, once you are in your call, nobody challenges you in your call. In fact, people don't think there is for the Christians, especially Africa, there is Satan, there is this evil or this bad evil. That is only because, in my own view, you have not been in your call. If you are in your call, let anybody say whatever you want to say. At the end of the day, you are where you are. Because this is a call. Why is it called a call? A call from the spirit. I don't know if I should go spiritual. Call from spiritual, like a calling. Vocation. Yeah, calling. If you are in your call, you are situated in a, believe it or not, with all the challenges there, you are there. People can say whatever they want. It's not. Whichever, that's what I'm saying, from whichever. Whichever spirit, whichever supernatural, or even from you yourself. Yeah, well, exactly. You can call it a call, you can call it a rightful direction in life. Sometimes people just have so many problems, maybe because you're not where you should be. That's why you pay attention to rubbish. If you're where you should be, oh my God. At any point in time, whenever you're talking, whenever you're working, the gift will be shining. That's my view. Don't forget, it's my view. So, Celeste, what have you to tell us? Oh? What was the question we're asking about? Conclusion. What was the question we had to face? Emmanuel asked a question. When writing, on what point should you know when to stop writing?
Depends on where you are answering. If you are
This is another guy that if he's not an academic doctor, sorry, he's dead. Okay.
So when you are writing a background, for instance, background is like telling people why you want to write what you want to write. So it's what spurred you. What did you see? And you cannot write what you didn't see. So in that situation, when you have exhausted, and background doesn't mean write everything. You just have to be synthetic about what you're writing. Get the most important point of why you are writing what you're writing. And when you have exhausted it, you don't need to write it.
Okay, Manuel.
The question is, does some people one, two, third. So when you work, and because you don't know when to stop, how do you know when to start? Getting is going to be on getting the right, you already get something. You cannot just start writing, you don't know when to.
Yeah, but if you start writing, you will know where to start.
For example,
So you know what you're writing, it's objective and everything, you know when to stop. But let's get on what you're writing, that's what
we are not hearing what you're saying.
No, I'm telling him that since you start writing, you are meant to know when to stop. Because you're writing, first of all, you have a structure and you have an objective that you're trying to give people. When you deviate from what objective you are writing towards to, that's when you don't know when to stop. As you are, if you start writing your project or your research, you are meant to know when to stop, because your project, first of all, you must have a structure where you have your research questions and your objective. When you write towards those research questions and objective, you will know when to actually end. With your objective of this, if you have objectives from 1, 2, 3, probably the last one is going to be where you have to intend trying to stop what you are writing if you are done with your research. So if you deviate from your objective and your research question, that's when you don't know when to stop. That's my own idea.
Okay. Any other person, anything to add? Okay.
Okay, number one, if you come to the essay we are writing, during your introductory part, you are going to highlight the point, your main objective. If your point is just 3 objective, you will highlight it. Then during writing the body of it, then those things you highlighted, it will be elaborated. 3, let's say the qualities of a good teacher, being kind to the student and the tolerance. You cannot write outside these points you have already stated, because those 3 points is what is going to guide you to write the research work. In research work, we have the introduction, we have the abstract, both background, hypothesis, and everything. With these things, if you're writing a background, once you are done with your background, you know that you have done with your background. So the technicality is going to guide you on how you should write your work. Because once you deviate from, maybe you want to write an abstract and you started writing an introduction, you are just mixing everything up. But once you're done with your abstract, you start with your introduction. You stop with your introduction. And you remember, the research work has a template. So I believe so much the template is what is going to guide you while writing your work. Thank you.
Any other person, anything to add about this debate? Emmanuel, how to deal? Emmanuel, you have the mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the background, right? That's the question for the background.
Where to start?
Where to start? So, and I said, you should know where you are starting. So, in the background, how, why, when you are going to start. It will be done. Then let's know why. Why is it? Then the next move be on how. How you are going to prepare for this session. Then if you gather where, why, how, then you are going to go where to start. So you got it.
Okay, so that is wonderful. This is a sign that all of us are getting it very correct. So because in the introductory part, once the introduction is clear, the body will be clear. Once you know your objective and your questions, like some of you said, the research objective, research questions, that will now guide the structure of writing. And then once you are writing, you'll be able to be controlled. However, if you make a mistake like myself, if I want to do my PhD, I wrote about 570 pages. I was told to publish. Because sometimes when you're writing, or something you're actually about, that tendency. But if you're guided, you'll be able to tell us, whoa, I'm giving a lot more paragraphs to each chapter than the second chapter. So you may tell yourself, maybe each chapter will be highest 5 pages. You may also guide yourself like that. So that if every chapter, for example, chapter 1, 5 pages, chapter 2, 5 pages, Okay, 5 pages. Because by the time you calculate it, then you can spend about 40 or 50 pages. The reference doesn't have limit. The letters. That's good again. So you can also conclude yourself. How many pages you would like? Maybe one, give you 5 pages only. It is you. You have the honor of the work. You will be able to destroy it. So the matter is very nice. Okay. So on that note, do we call it a day or this presenter? No other question. So please, we would like to thank Ms. Sharma from India. So give us a wonderful please can we clap for thank you very much.